Twilighters know that Twilight is pretty much the most amazing thing on Earth. Yet we have probably all come across our fair share of haters. And we all don't like them. But my opinion of them is that they only dislike Twilight because they have never experienced it for themselves. I have converted many people to Twilight. 2 of my best friends, and soon to be another, and my most newly, what would I say, switched? Converted, yes, that converted, one is my cousin, who is with me now. Hi! And, so, what happened was, she was a little skeptical about the whole Twilight thing, and...
Wait, let me just tell my story first.
Okay, here.
So, a couple summers ago, my friend showed me this book, and she was like, oh my god, you have to read it, it's amazing, it's about vampires. I was like, yeah, I don't do vampires. So, I read, like, the prologue and the first chapter. I read the second chapter, and I was like, well, this book pretty much sucks.
Well, that is because the first few chapters of Twilight do not have Edward in them.
True.
So you were never exposed to Edward Cullen, a.k.a.
God.
Yes, well, a.k.a. the most important thing in the entire universe.
So then, this year, I started hearing a lot about Twilight, like, an excessive amount about Twilight. And because I go to an all-girls school, Twilight is sort of, and Edward are sort of the topic of everybody's conversation.
Oh, yes.
So, basically, all my friends are going around talking about how much they love Edward, as I'm telling them to shut up. And I'm like, how can you be in love with a fictional character? I mean, he's a vampire, like, that's so stupid, and, like, it's just, like, horribly written. I hate that book, and it's horrible. And so all my friends are like, no, you have to read it, you have to try and give it a second chance. Edward is amazing, and I try to argue with them, and in the end, I just stopped trying. So, yeah.
That is where I came in.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, well, what happened was, my cousin was a bit skeptical when I whipped out my Breaking Dawn book, and she was like, oh no, and I was like, why? This is the best book on the entire planet. So one night, when we were going to bed, because we were on vacation together, I pulled out my copy of Breaking Dawn and was like, well, let me just read you a few of my favorite parts. These funny parts. I read her the part where, Edward is dragged off to his bachelor party.
LOL.
Read her the part where Rosalie got food in her hair. And then, in a desperate attempt to make her like it, I allowed her to comically read the part where Bella finds out that she's pregnant. We laughed over this because it is quite funny when you read it in a certain way. Then, we read all the parts with Edward in them. We then discussed all the vampire's special powers and how we would both love to have Jasper use his powers of, emotion changing on us. And pretty soon, even though she had not technically read any of the books, she was as addicted as we all are. Twilight is like a drug.
Once you get on it, you just can't stop.
Edward Cullen is our own personal heroine. He's our brand of heroine. Yes, I just quoted Twilight.
You know how they have the tips for teens in the doctor's office, and it's like, you shouldn't do, it has one like alcohol, one on heroin, and like one on crack. There should be one for Edward Cullen.
Oh, yes.
I swear to God, reading those passages in them, like, if the Midnight Sun first chapter,
yep,
it was beautiful. Like, I just want every single book that she writes to be narrated by him. He's so amazing.
I know. Now you see why you can be in love with a fictional character.
So I always protest that. Can't be in love with a fictional character. That's so stupid. You don't even see him. He's a freaking vampire. And then I realized, you can be in love with him.
You can. And the fictional character can love you back if you try hard enough. So, this is my little conversion video. If you have or know of any people who do not love Twilight, or heaven forbid haven't heard of it, gasp, we came across one of those the other day.
That was odd.
Oh gosh, it was like, deer in headlights. You must convert them. You will force feed Twilight passages to them until they love it.
You get the Twilight Nation.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, even W is gonna be reading Twilight.
Alright.
Edward! I love him!
Yeah. Alright, well...
I love the little vampire with the little teeth. Great.
Alright, well, guys, we've got to go to bed.
Okay,
so,
adios.
Peace, subscribe, or I'll bite you. New videos every day.